Morning, children. Welcome to today's class. Yesterday, we done the marginal opportunity cost or the marginal rate of transformation, which was MOC and MRT. What is the MOC? A quick revision. It is that amount of a good of X commodity which is sacrificed for the production of an additional unit of goods X. So, for any good X to be increased, what must you do? You will have to sacrifice some goods of Y. That is called the MOC. And the MOC is normally called the slope of the PPC. And it was, we said that it could be calculated by using the formula MRT is equal to delta Y upon delta X, where delta stands for change in Y upon change in X. Now, we also saw the different types of MOC. There were three types of MOC: increasing MOC, decreasing MOC, and constant MOC. When MOC is increasing, what did we see? The PPC would be concave to the origin. When your MOC was decreasing, what happens to the PPC? The PPC will be a convex. It will be convex to the origin. And when MOC is constant, your PPC will be a straight line. So this is what we had done yesterday. And today we go on with the next topic, which is the nature of economic analysis. There are two types. What are the two types? First, positive economics. Second, normative economics. Please note that down. Positive economics and normative economics. First, positive economics. What is positive economics? Kindly write down. Kindly write down. Positive economics deals with the things as they are. With the things as they are. They are put in quotes, as they are. It studies the actuals. It studies the actuals as they are and not what is desirable. It analyzes the cause and effect relationship. And it remains strictly neutral towards the ends. Examples of positive economics. We can say India is overpopulated. Second example, prices have been rising. Prices have been rising in India. Third, a rise in the price of a commodity leads to a fall in its quantity demanded. These are some examples of positive economics. So they deal with the things as they are and not what they are supposed to be and what is desirable to be. No. What is it? That's the fact. Positive economics. They are the studies of actuals. Second, normative economics. Normative economics deals with the things as they ought to be, as they ought to be, or they should be. It deals with an idealistic situation. It deals with an idealistic situation instead of an actual situation. Instead of an actual situation, and its objective is to determine norms or aims. Norms or aims. These statements pronounce value judgments. For example, rich people should be taxed more. Rich people should be taxed more. These are judgments, value judgments. Second example could be interest-free loans should be given to farmers. Interest-free loans should be given to poor farmers. Third example, free education should be given to poor children. Free education should be given to poor children. So all such types of statements which deals with things as they should be. So you have a judgment on them. You have a value judgment. These are called normative economics. So positive economics deals with things as they are and not what they should be. But normative economics deals with things as they ought to be or they should be. These are the biggest differences between positive economics and normative economics. Now we will come to a simple question which is normally asked of us. Why is PPC called a transformation curve? Why a PPC is called a transformation curve? The answer to this would be the PPC is called a transformation curve because in moving from one point to the other, in moving from one point to the other, the resources are transferred. The resources are transferred to the production of one commodity. Let's put them in brackets, X commodity, the X commodity, by withdrawing them from another commodity. By withdrawing them from another commodity. Which is the other commodity? In brackets you can write Y commodity. So in other words, the commodity is transformed into another, not physically, but by transforming resources. So one commodity is transformed into another, not physically, but by transferring the resources. And so the economists call the PPC as a transformation curve. Remember, your PPC downward sloping, point A, point B, point C, point C. So when it shifts from one point to the other, why does it shift? Because the resources from the other commodity is pulled out and put into the first commodity. So if X has to increase, Y has to decrease. So the resources are pulled out from one and given to the other. There is no physical transformation taking place, but yes, the commodities are being transferred from one to the other. And so economists have called the PPC as a transformation curve. Now children, another question which could be asked of you is, how are the central problems solved in the following economies? In the following economies. Market economy. First, market economy. What are the three problems of, or what are the three central problems? What to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. These are the three central problems. Remember? And they all arise because of the scarcity of resources. Resources are scarce. So we must know what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. Now, how is this problem solved in a market economy? So you can write down, in a market economy, the central problems are solved by the price mechanism, by the price mechanism. The market forces of demand and supply interact to determine the price of the product. In the coming chapters, we will learn the law of demand, law of supply, and how a price is determined by the interaction of demand and supply curve. That will come in the ahead chapters immediately after this. What about how is the problem solved in a socialist economy? What is the socialist economy, children? It is an economy where everything is owned by the state. All the factors of production are owned by the state. So there is no private property in a socialist economy. The state owns, it controls, it manages all the production unit, and also it distributes the outputs among the consumers on the basis of its own decisions. So it is a state controlled. It is controlled by the state. And what sort of an economy we have adopted? India, we have a mixed economy. What is a mixed economy? A mixed economy is an economy which includes the best features of capitalist as well as the socialist economy, and try and remove the demerits from both. So we take the best from the capitalist and we take the best from the socialist. In this economy, it allows private property. Producers are free for production. Consumers are free to decide what to consume. But the government also keeps a strict watch on the activities of these groups. And this is what makes a mixed economy. Mixed economy allows private property. Producers are free for production. They can produce what they want. We consumers are free to decide what we want to consume. But simultaneously, the government also keeps a strict watch also on the activities of these groups. So children, with this, we come to the end of the first unit, first chapter. Okay. Tomorrow we'll take up a new chapter which is called Consumers Equilibrium. Okay. Tomorrow we will take up a new chapter, Consumers Equilibrium. This finishes our chapter 1. Okay.